Good morning, Josh.
More,
I'm curious, what's the story of you going from the South Dakota School of Mines to the Patriots? How did that, it's kind of an odd to take, and I'm just curious how that happened.
um, well, basically how it happened is Dean Pease was the linebackers coach for the New England Patriots, I believe, in '04 and '05. I coached for Dean at Kent State. I was a graduate assistant, worked heavily with the secondary with him, pretty closely with him. And after the '05 season, Dean was made the defensive coordinator at New England. And he called, and that's basically how I ended up at New England. It was really kind of by word of mouth, and just went in there as a quality control coach and kind of, worked my way up through the system that way. But I'd worked pretty closely with Dean Pease at Kent State. So that's kind of how I went from South Dakota to New England.
Steve?
Josh, Brian talks about how there's a lot more to playing cornerback than intercepting passes. What is the thing that pleases you the most about the way Xavier Howard's playing?
I would say that he's really put in, I would say consistently some good all around performances from a run game standpoint, a pass game standpoint, as far as his technique at the line of scrimmage, his leverage and pass coverage, his technique at the top of the route. I would say in the run game, making sure that he leverages the ball, being able to crack, replace. I mean, really becoming a complete corner, and doing it very consistently for a long period of time. And it's getting better, and he's working hard at it. That's a credit to him. And I don't know our guys in the secondary, Charles Burks and GA, they work, extensively with those guys, and Xavier's put in a lot of work. And I think the good thing about Xavier, he knows, it's a week to week league. So he's got to put in that work each week, and he's striving for improvement. And, it's really a credit to him and his work ethic that, we're seeing strides on a week in and week out basis.
Adam?
Hey, good morning, Josh. I wanted to get your thoughts on why the run defense improved last week, and were there a couple of guys that really stood out in that regard?
Yeah, I think, there's each week that we go into things, there's things that we work on, like the things that we're doing well, we try to build upon that. And the things that we're, not doing as well, we try to correct, because, ultimately in this league, you're going to see it again the next week, which we did. I mean, the Jets, they ran some of the same plays that Denver ran. And, I would say it's a credit to the guys. Their work on their technique and their fundamentals, which is, crucial this time of year, because, there's 11, we've had 11 games this season. So there's a lot of tape and film on us, and, coaches do a good job of scheming to, get angles, in the run game. And obviously, me personally, I just need to do a better job of putting those guys in position so they can make plays. And I would say, it's really a credit to them to stay on task and work at their fundamentals and techniques, because, that's what's going to carry us, for the rest of the year.
Hal?
Hi, Josh. I'd like to take you I'd like to take you back to when Brian called you in, whatever day that may have been, and said, Josh, I want you to be the defensive coordinator. What was going through your mind at that point? Was it, yeah, this is something I've been working toward for years? Was it, hey, am I ready for this? How did that go? What was going through your mind?
Not much, to be honest with you. This was pre-pandemic. It was just after our season. We had some people coming over to our house, And it was a pretty quick conversation, flowed, obviously we've known each other for a long time. And he basically just kind of said, hey, I'm thinking about this. I said, yeah, that's great. I said, whatever you need, whatever you want me to do. And then, then it was getting ready for the dinner party that we had coming in. So there wasn't a lot of, worry, thought. Like I said, I've been around football my entire life. Things come up. Whatever my job is, whether it's position coach, coordinator, you take it very seriously. You work hard at it. I always feel like you can get better. Usually you feel like, whatever you're doing, that it's not good enough. And, to me personally, I think if you ever got to the point where you're like, hey man, this is easy, then it's probably time to, call it quits or be done. Cause I think you can always be better. I think, I don't think things stay the same. I think they get better or they get worse. It wasn't big, it was just, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I said, yeah, whatever you need. And that's kind of, that's kind of how that happened. Probably not a very exciting story for you, but that's how it happened.
Armando.
Morning, Josh.
Morning.
Hi. So I know you want to be different as a defense more or less every week, multiple, as you say. What is the identity of your defense? What do you can count on every week?
What I hope you can count on is that our guys are going to play with great effort, which I mean they've done. Doesn't matter, the situation or what the score is. Our guys are going to go out and they're going to play with great effort. We're going to get 11 hats to the ball, and we're going to tackle well, and we're going to play a physical style football. And I mean, whatever people want to label it, they can label it. I think those are the things that we stress, fundamentals. Get everybody the ball, be physical, tackle well. And, week to week, the scheme varies a little bit, but, at the end of the day, we just want to play good, sound football and get the ball back to our offense and eliminate as many points as possible from our opponents.
Joe.
Hey, Josh, good to see you. I wanted to ask you about.
Good to be seen.
I wanted to ask you about some of the youngsters who it seems have made improvements from the first game. You talked earlier about how you think that the unit and individual players will continue to improve throughout the year. I was thinking about guys like Sealer, Van Ginkel, Needham, Brandon Jones, Raekwon Davis. They're all young guys who seem to be improving. When you think about that group, what do you think are some of the reasons that they are, as Coach Flo says, their arrow is pointing in the right direction?
I'd say it's a credit to them and their work ethic, and their consistency of coming in and striving to be better. And again, I mean, we preach this, and I know I sound like a broken record. It's like things, they don't stay the same. I mean, you either get better or you get worse. And, I mean, you may hit some bumps in the road, but at the end of the day, the foundation, it's like anything else in life. It's your profession, it's your craft. If you don't practice it, you don't work at it, your skill sets will diminish. And I would say, a lot of our guys, they put in, a lot of extra work. There's a lot of guys, that maybe not playing, but, you can see the improvement in practice. And, we really push that with everybody, and I would say it's the same for the coaches. We try to get better from week to week. And like I said, sometimes you have bumps in the road here and there, but I think it's the process of constantly striving for improvement.
All right, we have time for one more. We'll go to Safid.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask specifically about Nick Needham. He kind of represents a player you guys are trying to we're trying to identify and develop here since Flo's become the coach here. What can you say about his progression the last 2 seasons to becoming a key contributor on that defense, especially in the nickel role?
Well, I think Nick's becoming a true professional. I think he really comes to work like a sponge. He just wants to absorb as much information, whether it's from coaches, players, and then his work ethic is really taken off to a new level. The extras he does before and after practice, the film study. It's really an awesome thing to see as a coach, that he's taken his own initiative. And again, like I said earlier, I think, Gerald Alexander and Charles Burks, they've done a good job with these guys in the back end, and they push them. And, and the players have really responded. And I think, it's, whether good things, whether you have success or you experience failure, the constant drive and work ethic has been the consistent thing. And I think we're starting to see, a lot of improvement. I think, Nick's made some great strides, and I think he'll continue to do that as long as his, work ethic and drive, and call it a chip, call it whatever you want to call it, that desire for him to be better, which, and he's really put in the time and the work to that. So, and we're going to ask him to do more, and, he'll probably, willingly do it, to, see improvement out there on the field.
Hey, Danny, good to see you.
Morning, guys.
Hey, we all know that Jason Sanders pretty much makes all his field goals. I don't know a ton about him other than that. I mean, since you met this guy, I don't know, is there something kind of interesting that you've learned about him other than he kicks the ball straight all the time?
I think Jason's an outstanding young man, first and foremost. Obviously very, very talented. We feel very, very fortunate to have him. But there's a million things I could talk about, just like with a lot of these players. A lot of them I'll keep private, but just a great kid, and a joy to work with on a day-to-day basis.
Travis?
Hey, Coach, good morning. It seems like, in a league where touchbacks are so often the outcome, that you guys are consistently forcing returns and getting stops into the 25-yard line. And Jason, like you mentioned, obviously can put it at the end zone anytime he wants to. So I'm just wondering, is that just like a confidence thing in your kickoff team's ability to win some of the hidden yardage there?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think it's something that, we look at on a week-to-week, game-to-game basis, based on our opponent and based on other situations once we truly get into the game. But we feel good about Jason. We feel good about the coverage guys. So there's a lot of things that go into it. But, to be able to have some of that ability to maybe, for lack of a better term, dictate what's going on is something that Flo talks about. And I'm sure you guys have heard it from him time and time again. But that's an advantage we try and take advantage of.
Hal?
Hi, Danny. How you doing?
Great.
Jason is so consistent and so dependable that it's almost easy to assume he's always going to make kicks. And I'm wondering, going back in your career, I'm not asking you to name any names, but have there been times when you've been a special teams coordinator and had a kicker that just made you nervous as hell when he went out there? What's that like?
Well, I tell you, it's not fun. I've been very fortunate, in my almost 20 years in this league to work with a lot of very, very good kickers, a lot of very dependable kickers. But when there's not that feeling, and maybe not as much for me, but in my opinion, when you send that guy out on the field for the team, the organization, the guys on the sideline, they're the ones when they have that great feeling of who that guy is when he runs out onto the field, that we're coming away with a positive result. That's very important for the team.
Adam?
Good morning. You guys rank, I think, number 1 or 2 in kick and punt coverage. I believe you're number 1 in punt return average. You've got Jason. At what point during the spring or the summer do you have a sense that you might have a really special group?
Well, I think, to me, it goes all the way back to last season as we, when we started, working towards our goal of building this team of the type of players in the classroom, on the practice field, to games, the kind of player and people we were looking for. We have a long way to go to really, the vision of what we're all trying to gain. But when you have a good nucleus of guys who work hard and take a lot of pride in what they're doing, we felt that we were going to have an opportunity to have a solid group. But as I said, we got a long way to go, and there's a lot more things, and we can be a lot better in a lot of situations.
All right, one more question, Omar.
I want to ask about Mac Hollins. What makes him so successful as a gunner? I don't even know if you call it that position, in terms of taking on 2 blockers and still getting where he needs to be.
Well, I think number one, it's you have to have great desire to play that position, and really any position on punt. When you look at anybody that plays on punt, I have a great amount of respect for those players because of what you're asking to do. When I talk about the punt play, you're taking really all the elements of football and you're putting it into one play. That play starts, and those inside guys are, they're protection players, like offensive linemen. Then you're asking them to become defensive players and be able to shock and separate and get off. And then you're asking them, to sprint 30, 40, 50, 60 yards down the field and then go make a play. And it's the same thing with the outside guys, whether you're dealing with single or vice or stack in a lot of those situations, you're trying to defeat 2 players, as you mentioned. And that's just the start of it. You got to defeat those guys, but now, we want to go make a play. So I think desire is number 1. And then, he puts the time and effort in the practice field, in studying, taking notes. So you put all those things together and you give yourself a chance to be successful, which is the least you can do.
Good morning, Chan. Question is, how's Tua feeling and how difficult was it for him not to play last week?
I think we kind of all realize how competitive he is. And I didn't really get a chance to talk to him, after the game about how he felt, but just knowing him, I know it really, he wanted to play. I don't know till we get, back into the office Wednesday, exactly what the status is, but I know he's working hard to get ready. He's a tough guy.
Barry?
Hi, Chan. Just wanted to ask your thoughts on slot receiver. I know Antonio Callaway only had maybe a half dozen catches out of the slot for Cleveland. Do you view him as a viable slot option the rest of the season? Where's Lynn in his development? And your thoughts on Malcolm, who seemed to be playing well, obviously, before getting hurt.
Yeah, we've got some options there, and obviously we have to be able to use everybody at our disposal here. We try to not pigeonhole too much where guys are going to be. We know Devontae's been more of an outside guy, but we have played him inside, and we can still do that. He's good in there. He's done it, and he can go make some plays inside in the slot. So we try not to pigeonhole guys, but I think that as the rest of the season unfolds, we're going to have to use these other guys in different and varied ways to be able to move the football in the best way. So we got to use them all. It's not going to be, Malcolm's come a long way, Lynn's come a long way, Antonio's learning as he goes, but it's going to take everybody.
Omar?
I wanted to ask you about, we know that Fitz has a good mastery of this offense and has the ability to alter and change plays. Does Tua have that same level of mastery and same ability to change plays?
Not to the level of Fitz. Very few people have that, that ability. He's an amazingly smart guy, and Tua hadn't been in the offense 6 games yet. It's like comparing apples and oranges. Is he where Fitz is? No, he's not. But has he come a long way, and is he making progress? Yes, very definitely.
Armando?
Hey, Chan. So what is the identity of the offense right now?
I think it's week by week. We're one of those offenses that tries to take what the defense gives us. I don't want to pigeonhole who we are offensively. I think we try to run the ball effectively. We throw it when we need to throw it, and we got to throw it. We got to be more consistent with what we're doing. So if people are going to stack the box and we have to throw it, then we're going to throw it. If they play soft and let us run it, we've got to be able to run it effectively. It gets back to execution and being consistent with the things we're trying to get done. I don't like to worry about too much about identity. I want to make sure we're just being consistent and moving the ball on a consistent basis.
Dave?
Yeah, hi, Chan. In light of what happened in Denver, obviously all the quarterbacks missing the game. Some teams are separating their third quarterback from meetings and all that. I was just curious, do you guys take any precautions like that, or beyond the normal mask wearing and all that?
Well, the thing about it is we're right now in the situation that we're in, we're all separated. We're doing all the meetings from home. We're doing everything, we spread out at practice. So it seems like a moot point at this time, to talk about that, because we do try to keep them separated at practice where they're not standing huddled together without proper precautions. So, and meetings from home are kind of handling the separation there.
All right, time for 2 more. We'll go to Hal.
Hello, Chan. I want to sort of revisit a topic that we talked about a little bit last week at various points about contested catches and the quarterback having the confidence to trust his receiver to make a play. We saw Fitz do that with Gesicki and Parker on Sunday in New York. Where is Tua now in his development toward having that confidence, and how do you bring him along to get him to make those throws that receivers have to make the play?
Now, I think there's a couple things involved there. I think one, Fitz had last year with all these receivers. So he knows, what to expect and how to read them and how to read body language and know break points and things like that. Tua has had 4 games with these guys. And so I think there's a learning process that goes on there that you have to get a feel for it. You have to understand that. And is Tua at that point yet? No, but I think we will get there at some point in time. I'm hoping it's sooner than later. And I think he's getting a better idea of it. And then he threw a couple balls in Denver that were a sticks route on the right side to Devontae that was like that, where they're not just standing wide open, that you gotta throw it and give them a chance to make a play. So I think we're getting there. but we don't have that kind of experience yet, with these receivers, with each of the guys yet to be able to do that.
Final question, Cam.
Hey, Chan, you guys have had a lot of guys leading your backfield throughout the season for different reasons. Seems like you guys are getting close to getting, Miles and maybe Salvon back. Do you anticipate Miles, kind of resuming his previous role, or how do you think that's going to work out now that you've got, different guys in the backfield?
I think it depends on everybody's health. I can't answer that question today. I think we got to see how healthy everybody is. Somebody like Miles that's missed 3 weeks, what's his conditioning level? There's just so many things up in the air right now to try to answer that question. I think that's probably a question for maybe even all the way till Sunday before we really know what's going to happen on that.